One of the ways the Tories are attacking the striking rail workers right now is by saying if they were to give in to their demands, it would cause a wage price spiral, basically calling for wage restraint for fear it will trigger a rise in inflation. The concept arises around a theory that when inflation is high and is expected to remain so, people will want pay rises to match inflation, so they'll become poorer. And those extra costs will prove so crippling to employers, they'll have to pass those costs on in the form of price increases, driving inflation up again, hence the spiral. The failure of this concept is that it makes out that asking for enough money to live on is the only factor influencing inflation, and there's nothing else the government could do. Of course, they could offset much of these price rises by obtaining money from elsewhere. Let's say a wealth tax, for example, but God forbid they do that. Some of those rich types might stop donating to the Tory party after all, and that matters more to them than whether you can pay your bills or feed your kids. Mick Lynch has got it right, unsurprisingly. What we have is a price-wage spiral. Switch those words around and you get a wholly different but far more accurate term. Prices have gone up, are still going up anyway, due to high inflation, still rising anyway, but wages have fallen so far behind now, it's absolute madness to say wage increases would drive or are driving rising inflation. Britain needs a pay rise. When inflation is now 9.1% up from 5.4% at the end of last year, your wages, already not sufficient to get by on, factually they haven't really kept up since the 90s, means that every £100 that you earn, you have roughly £4 spending power than you did 6 months ago. Inflation is being ramped up right now by companies refusing to cut their prices, despite their costs having not risen. Instead of demanding the likes of BP or Shell cut their prices, the Tories are bending over backwards to avoid doing so and telling you that you asking for a pay rise is to blame instead. Their profits are through the roof. Price gouging is absolutely to blame, and energy bills are now set to rise 50% in October. It's greed on an astonishing level. We have a government more interested in attacking us and not setting things right, is sitting on their hands doing nothing, and that is absolutely to blame too. It's no longer an option for them. The rail workers have said enough. Bus drivers, bin men, nurses, teachers, more are either saying the same thing or seriously thinking about strike action right now, and with good reason. We have a Tory government that are pointing the finger of blame at those suffering the most from rising inflation and saying it's your fault, but it's a lie. Everything happening right now is very much their fault.